All right, what is up, everybody? Shout Scout 0013 here, coming in with another interview. This time with the winner of LVO and Daniel Casslasy. Uh, this is such a fun interview, and they talk a lot about the lists and their thoughts behind their lists and rebels. So it's a great fun interview, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Leave them some comments down below, and make sure to kind of just tell them how much you appreciate them showing up and doing this. If you wanted to, I just want to go ahead and shout out again the Discord and a few of the housekeeping stuff. If you want to join the Discord, this is a great place to kind of get some information on either brand new units like the ARF Troopers that just were released. If you've got awesome tables and you're just trying to get some thoughts, if you're just trying to have some fun and see what everyone is talking about, it's just a great time. So come on over here, join the Discord. If you haven't already, head on over to the Patreon. There you can go ahead and sign up and get some of the videos early. You kind of get stuff that hasn't released yet. So this is a great way to kind of support the channel and kind of help out. And then lastly, if you are a member of a subscriber and you leave a comment, that's going to enter you in to win the $25 gift card giveaway that is going on that I will be announcing in February. So yeah, feel free to join all of that. And yeah, that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this interview, and let everyone know in the comments down below what you think about Rebels and the tournament. All right, what is up, everybody? So, Shell Scout 0013 here, coming in with Michael, or Nuclear Potato.
Hello.
Yeah, and we've got David. Wow.
Close enough.
Yeah. Hold on. Wow.
We should redo
sorry,
that.
David. Let me redo this one, Daniel. My
No,
bad.
you should run with it. No, listen, run with it. The what's awesome is that people always get my second name wrong. But it's like the first name's
Casslasy, right?
bang on. That is incredible. You got the first name. Everybody else gets it the other way around. It's just a mess of S's, isn't it? I don't blame people for getting it wrong.
Yeah, because where are you from?
Originally England, Yorkshire, up in the north. But I've been in the States for almost 20 years now, so I've got no excuse for the accent.
Oh no, I like the accent.
I can't.
It adds
All
a
right,
lot.
listen, if I don't have the accent and I'm walking around with this face, I'm in a lot of trouble. So I can't lose it.
Well, it's good to have both you guys up here. I'm excited to be able to get to talk to you about the weekend for LVO, and I know that both of y'all made top 8. Obviously, Michael, you wound up taking it all the way, and y'all didn't play each other, did y'all?
No.
Okay. Well, I know that everyone is excited to hear about Rebels and how Rebels has done so great. Especially over this tournament. I know with the introduction of Bad Batch and Sleeper Cell, everyone is like, all right, Rebels is finally worth taking. And I want to kind of get your input because both of you took Rebels, if I'm not mistaken. And so y'all saw something in Rebels that a lot of people have either overlooked, have underrated, or anything like that. So I'm interested to get your all's takes on Rebels first, and kind of like how you guys put your list together, what kind of went into the list building process for your guys ahead of this. So if one of y'all want to take it away, I'll let you guys talk a little bit about it.
All right, I'll jump in.
Yes.
So the Rebel, as soon as 2.0 landed, I wanted to play Rebels because I've been playing clones for so long. I don't think they were that viable in 1.0 towards the end, certainly. And so I 2.0 blank slate. I jumped straight to Rebels, really excited to take out my, the troopers and all the old good stuff. And what I found is that a bunch of my 1.0 prejudices were sort of mistaken. ATRTs actually are really good. and then the new units are good, and Rebel Troopers are good, and some of the things that were good aren't as good now. But so for me, it was just I was committed to playing Rebels, and I think what happened is when the game first landed, Meta was wide open, and then very quickly we saw the dominance of that bonkers 501st list, and I don't think there was room for Rebels in that meta. The number of games I was grinding out against people who were just stuffing me, and it just felt like we were playing different games. The commandos just blowing I got all these dodges, and then the commandos have 5 velocity, and then have a sleeper cell, and they peek out and roll 12 dice, and like 10 of them hit, and then they roll a bunch of saves, but the surges everywhere at 66%. I killed 2, maybe 3 guys. And then the shot back just melts the sleeper cell. So I think it was the clone nerf for me that made the difference. But I was doing lots of reps beforehand, just bashing my head against the table. But it helped because each loss kind of sharpened the list, and I kind of iterated. It was a really slow evolution to get to where I got with the list. And that's how it came to be in its final form. Again, at first the ATRTs were to activation pad. Turns out they're good. I was traumatized in 1.0 by just getting rolled whenever I ran Rebels against droids. I just couldn't put out the volume of dice. And all of a sudden the Ion Gun is really good value and just pumps the consistency of Rebel Troopers. So I staple 5 of those in there. The bus is great. Actually, something since I last talked about this, I'm starting to think there may be a little balance problem with Sleeper Cell. Certainly, I feel like my bus Sleeper Cell combo is degenerate. You can't actually counterplay it. So that's maybe a little bit of it too. Just the taking the pressure off with 501st just opened up the meta for Rebels. That's my answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of almost agree a lot about that. I mean, because me, Paul and I both went to Crucible. I mean, we were there, and just I ran an Empire list. I ran like a gun line that was crafted in such a way that I could get a lot of wounds off on round 1, so I could kind of nullify a lot of my opponent's units, and I can kind of play objective right after that. But man, I just wasn't getting any wounds off. And when you're staring down an 11 act, maybe even 12 act 501st list with the strike teams and stuff, and it doesn't even have to be like a 501st list. It can just be 3 naked infantry inside of a Yoda Bad Batch, kind of combo that with the guidance nonsense that was happening. It was just there was just a lot of value from those units that it was just almost, why would you even run Rebels? There's no point to bring Rebels when you just have almost the same amount of activations, if not just way better quality ones, with clones. So yeah, I agree that nerf kind of allowed other factions to kind of be explored. And it just so happened to be that Rebels were kind of the perfect one of the other main 3 that could kind of completely counter low activation lists. When I played against a 9 activation, I even played against a 7 activation list during my time. I was foaming from the mouth. I'm like, oh my god, this is great because I have 13 activations. I could just throw my squishy Rebel Troopers with 2 dodges and heavy cover on something, and that can work. So I agree that the shift in meta was definitely from that clone nerf. Now we'll see what happens with other meta changes, but certainly Rebels seem to be very good right now.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see again. And do you guys think, because I know that both of you guys took at least 1 sleeper cell unit, and Michael, I think you took 2. Do you think that they're undercosted right now? Do you think that they're going to rise up in cost at all? Do you think that they're just right where they need to be?
Michael,
I see Daniel shaking his head. I'm like, I think they can be increased a little bit. They have a lot of tech on them, especially with the way the meta works right now. I just think they fit the meta properly. Sure, they might be a little undercosted with what keywords they have, but having Scout 2, having tactical and a short range gun that does a lot of damage, right, is what the meta is, unfortunately. Running range 4 guns is not like, it's just not, not the best
It's
thing,
not
because
it's not what
when
it's
you're contesting POIs, you're looking at range 2 almost all the time. It's like, what are we doing? And the way AMG values range 4 and range 3 guns is a lot. Those guns can cost, one black dice of a range 3 can mean 2 black dice for the range 2 at the same price. And when you're talking about everything in range 2 already, like, it just makes them cheaper than it feels. Like, even though they are 70 point unit scout and tactical and 6 health, that they are definitely a little undercosted. I would probably look at like a 5 to 10% increase, maybe like a 3 to 7 point increase. But yeah, I mean, that's my opinion on them. They're just really good for the meta right now. So I hope they don't like completely destroy them, but they definitely are doing all the right things for what the meta
they're
is.
not massively OP. In like my earliest iterations of the list, I was building them to be super defensive. So I had the outmaneuver upgrade on them, and of course the astromech, and I put prepared supplies on them. So they do basically, once it activated, they always had 2 dodges and situational awareness. They were, but still rolling white dice. So you get over that hump, and they really melt very quickly. So I think that they're not, like Michael said, they're not horribly off. The thing that I'm coming away with from LVO is that the combo, like the way I'm building them, you'll be able to see, they're just kitted out for max anger. I have Han, and I have his Pip 0. They have an HQ uplink. They've got scopes. The bus that's carrying them forward has got Ryder Azadi to move them further up the table. And then they have tactical. So what's happening is I have 13 act. I play standing orders turn 1. The bus and the sleeper cell are the penultimate and ultimate activation of turn 1. And they're always shellacking an activation, right? If you do this little thing in TTS or on a table, if you look at a dead straight shot from the back of my edge to my opponent's edge, the bus moves on 2 with Ryder. They get out, they move, they shoot. The tactician gives them an aim. The tactical gives them an aim. So I can reach stuff 3 inches from my opponent's table edge, right? That's probably a bit much. And the thing is, there's barely any counterplay. It's like you either cede all the territory on turn 2 to not get walloped, or you accept something's going to get walloped. The standbys don't work because the bus has got a laser gun on it, so it can knock those off. And then I play, usually change of plans turn 2 into Han's Pip 0, pop the uplink, and then they go again. So if they double whammy something, then I let them die. And there's just the only counterplay that I've seen is at the list building stage. So we'll talk about this. One of my games against Isaac, he's playing Imperial with Palp. He made me give in to my anger on turn 1 and forced me to walk him on. Okay, that does it. But in a lot of the other games, they're just doing whatever the hell they want, and there's no counterplay to it. So I don't, either they could go up a few points, and they may need to lose like the HQ uplink slot, the comm slot, or you do something in a bus where you limit how many things can be transported, so I maybe nerf too hard on a bunch of other units. But the fact that I can just pick them up, place them anywhere on the table, and then roll 12 hits is a bit much.
Yeah, no, that's a super powerful hit.
Yeah, and I do it twice, last and first. Again, it's almost impossible to stop. You have to do it in your list build. You can't do it. Like if you're playing droids, they have that sort of equivalent of giving to your anger card, but I don't think droids won't be playing that on turn 2. And if you do and I change your plans, so much for that. It's just there's no room.
Okay. Well, I know that you guys had mentioned that with the nerf basically to Gar, that they weren't going to be as much in the meta as you think. And so what were kind of like y'all's expectations going into LVO? Like, what did y'all expect to encounter the most? And maybe was there a list that you guys were not necessarily fearful of playing, but were there any lists that you were like, I don't want to play against that? So I know that's like 2 different questions there.
Yeah, I mean, for my list, I felt like I would see, things like it. Because actually, it was funny is I was on one of the discords or something, and I was looking around. I was just like, what are people thinking about for Rebels? Because I had already built my list. I've won a tournament, or actually a few tournaments with like similar lists, and I'm like, this is the thing I'm going to be running. I'm gonna, you know, and I look online, and I'm like, this list looks exactly like mine. It's like almost everything's the same with it. I'm like, damn. So people are really cracking the code with kind of what you're supposed to be doing with Rebels. But so I was anticipating a lot of that. Anticipating like just the good stuff from each one of the factions, because every faction has something good, right? I guess one of the lists that I was like, not very keen on playing was like high armor lists. The one that I was like scrolling around and like trying to like do some studying before I went. I was like, oh yeah, it's like triple ATST Tempest Force might not be like that good because I don't even think I could physically kill an ATST. I'm probably just gonna have to like just endure the shots from ATSTs the whole game, like, and just not bother with them because yeah, sure I could shoot at them, but like I probably get like maybe 4 wounds through, and then like what are we looking at, an astromech like just healing a bunch of them off. So um yeah, just and with the cheap activation with the scout troopers, just I guess that was one list that, because usually if you're running like high armor, you're running low act, right? And low act was something that I could deal with, but with the cheap activations of scout troopers being 48 points, you can run like 6 of them or something. I was like, gosh, with scout 3, sharpshooter, and low profile, like they're good. I mean, so that was one list, I mean, but other than that, I wasn't really like too worried about most lists. I was just like, kind of just deal with what I get. It's either low act or high act, and I just outgun them or out out objective them.
But one thing that Rebels have right now is you get a crap ton of tooling in the list, so you can build them pretty generally. Again, I've got those ions because of armor and because of droids.
Yeah.
One of the things you asked about, what was I expecting to see, and we talked about, Michael and I spoke about this last time, but I did not think that the clone players would just drop off a cliff because of the nerf. It's like I was looking at clone lists, and it's like, okay, you go from 12 acts to 10. That's still a nasty list. Anakin's still a beat stick. Commandos are still really strong. And ARC troopers are no slouches. The tables at LVO had a really good mix. Some of those tables were very friendly, would have been very friendly to ARC troopers. So I was just surprised to see so few clones. I was expecting to just have hard games against a fair clone 501st list. And it turns out the only clones I played were like Wookiee heavy lists. So just total, not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
For me, what my list, I have Commander Luke in my list. The purpose of Commander Luke is that there are just some units I cannot kill. I can't kill Bad Batch. Doesn't matter how much, like I can double tap them with the sleeper cell, and I probably do 3 to 4 wounds each volley. The squad is still alive; they can still score. It's not a good use of my attacks. Likewise, certain force users, it's just not worth me not killing them. So Luke is there to neutralize one big nasty threat, right? He's got the I am a Jedi card to shut them down, and then he's also got just the fact that he's got some really defensive cards, get him stuck in melee, just hang out. Some of the lists that scared me are where people were running like 2 or 3 hero hammer units, like Bad Batch and Anakin. I can only handle one of them. Or there was an Imperialist which was like Palp and Vader. Ooh, I didn't want to be seeing that.
That is an insane list with Palp being able to get that extra attack in. Now, did y'all want to kind of like go over your lists and maybe like the thinking behind building it, and or well, I know that we've gotten a little bit about the bus and the sleeper cell, but I didn't know if you guys wanted to kind of go a little bit more in depth about your lists because obviously this is a huge event, and I know that you guys are expecting so many different types of lists. So I wanted to just kind of know your thought process on bringing the units that you wanted to bring and the strategy behind it, just for people who might be interested in Rebels and kind of seeing the units that really fit together very well for very competitive lists.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I'll start off with mine. And it's funny that Daniel's like saying like, "Oh, hero hammers were my arch nemesis." 'Cause my list is literally the epitome of hero hammer. I have a double commander, not just because like sure your army very well and can have courage levels high, but also just because both of them are great options. Like I didn't want to not take one of them. Starting off with Han with up close and personal, it's just like a very hard unit to kill if you're not, engaging him in melee. It's just like two dodges, low profile, heavy cover, uncanny luck is like very hard to get through. And he's a really good answer to ARC troopers, clones, B2s, Magna Guards. It just a lot of the good units that are very hard to kill. You just do auto wounds on them. So he was just a great option for me. Leia was the backbone of my list. Having underworld connections for my two special guys, and then having improvised order for her was just more of a reason that she's probably going to stay alive longer because she has a range 3 weapon rather than Han getting into the mix of everything. So it just made sense. And then portable scanner, having portable scanner on her or any like spotter or any take cover unit, it just increases the value of using that keyword, but like tremendously. So it's just like always an auto include for me. And then underworld connection for her. The only command card I was using was the No Time for Sorrows command card. And if I ever needed an issue order to Bad Batch or Din, having that one movement speed 1 move is like really nice. And Han is just using his 0 pip and change of plans usually for utility. So it just made sense to have it on her. And also I guess by kill point, like if they're usually going to kill Han over than Leia, so might as well make Han cheaper, I guess. But if it came down to 5 points, I would be hard pressed. Bad Batch with Omega because it's just one of the best rebel units in the game, even though they're clones. They allowed me to do a lot of double scoring with bunker assaults and recover research, and just there's a lot of catching people off guard. I mean, kind of almost won me in my final game with Hunter. Din Djarin is like my only slightly off meta pick. He's still very good for the points he is. He has a lot of tech to use and disrupt. Comms relay to get rid of his order issued, because having the independent aim and dodge is like just so good on him. Flame projector to deal with mega squads or big squads. Jetpack for movement speed 3 is almost necessary because it just makes him super mobile. Spear instead of Ambam, because I was looking at my list and I'm like, man, I don't really have a unit that can fight other lightsabers, so I'll have the fake lightsaber and the Beskar Spear to, fight any, or at least tie up other Force users or something that I needed to.
Yeah. And I feel like the gun doesn't do very much right now, especially in the beginning. And I also see that you don't have any training slot on him.
Yeah.
Is there?
It's just to make them cheaper, probably. Like,
Okay.
if you're looking at the ones that can work with him, right? Maybe the top one that I see people bring is up close and personal, right? Because you're usually doing a shot off onto other people. But sure, 8 points is a lot of points for maybe getting a dodge token, and being able to maybe spend the dodge token. So it was just a lot of like questions for me, like, am I really gonna need this dodge token, for 8 points? Maybe not. I guess they have seized the initiative, which, like I said, like probably just comms relay that off anyways. And I don't know, push. He already has tactical 1. I don't know what else. What else would you think you would put on?
Probably
tenacity, I guess. Yeah, tenacity. I mean, the only reason why I don't think I have tenacity is that a 5 health unit is usually not going to be wounded, especially with red surging. I don't know. For me, like, it's either he's going to be dead or he's going to be like, fully alive. I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's a decent choice. But for me, like, everything was like tight for points, so I just had to not run much on him.
Okay.
For my core, I had 3 naked rebel troop squads. These were all just for double move objective cappers that can just get double dodges and really torment people from like thinking like, oh, it's just a naked squad of rebels. It's easy to kill. And it's just statistically, if you look at it, it's just like so hard to kill unless you have like clone commandos. The fleet trooper squad with the scattergun, extra man, and impact is like there to deal with armor. Like if I really need to kill one certain armored unit, I have that. But other than that, I really don't have much impact on my list. And then the extra trooper just to like kind of protect the heavy, because the heavy is a lot of your firepower. So I figured having extra man protects an extra wound until they get to the heavy. Double sleeper cells with Astromechs because points wise it makes sense. Targeting scopes to make them more lethal on round one. Rolling an extra dice for those aims can help a lot. It helps you ensure that you get the 12 wound, or sorry, the 12 attack, swing at someone. And the Ewok Slingers, another cheap activation with Forest Dweller, cheap Scout 1, dodge token. And for me and the way I played my list, I always played the Bad Batch 3 pip on round 1, which like gave me awful order control on round 1. But I had so many activations that the only thing I couldn't really pull with I didn't really want to pull my sleeper cells. I would be upset if I pulled them. That's why I have the improvised order for one-time use. And then the Ewok Slingers, right? It's a special force unit. And if I really do pull that special force, then here we go. Throw out the cheap activation, And then 2 ATRTs, one with laser cannon, one with flamethrower. They're just good value right now. Now it's gonna be like hard to like kind of justify them when Aquas are just like mathematically like so much better. But they're still good for what Rebels can bring, and having the flamethrower makes it like a scary threat for people. And laser cannon is just cheap enough to have an anti-armor option that I need. But yeah, that's my list. 13 activation.
That's a good one. I feel like it was able to take on the most. So it's really cool to see.
So too.
Yeah. All right, Daniel.
So my list again, it came through slow iteration and evolution. It's Han just with C's, just to give me a bit of order control when I need it. Luke with C's, and he's got burst, and he's got cash dodge, and again he's just a handler. Use him for a couple of turns. If he dies later on, it's fine. Then it's 6 rebel trooper squads, and the key thing here is the 5 ion guns. It just makes all the droid matches kind of just a different level of manageable. And then when somebody has armor, it's like, okay, this is nice. Then I've got the 3 laser cannon ATRTs, activation padding, durable. And then the other thing they can do is, because of that big base, they're actually a lot quicker than you think. So they can really dive objectives deceptively quickly. It would surprise me sometimes. And the scout, just good all around, certainly for its points. And then, of course, the kind of the Wombo combo is the bus with a laser cannon, a sleeper cell kitted out to the nines, the precision scopes, and the HQ uplink is key there. And then the bus with a tactician. So they basically, whenever they proc, they have 2 aims. And again, after the second, on turn 2, you can do what you want. Bad touch them, doesn't matter. They've usually done their job. And sometimes, even if they don't do their job, they're doing their job because they project such a threat bubble. People don't want to step forward. And so, it's just got tooling for everything. Well, maybe not everything. Like I say, lots, Vader and Palp, I don't think I can handle. But, again, armor, it's okay. It's just a good generic list in that sleeper cell unit. Just, in a lot of the games, what it does is it sort of like kicks out the stool from your opponent really early on and just gives you a leg up for the other turns. Because, to Michael's point, troopers get dodges up, you can, get defensive. But once somebody's rolling like 6 or 7 dice, they're going to get through the cover and they're going to get through your dodges, and you start to lose guys. So the more you can kill them, the more you stick around.
So I know that a lot of people like Operative Luke, and not so many people take the Commander Luke.
Yeah.
Where was it mostly like the points, or was it kind of just like anything else that was going through your mind?
Well, so in older iterations of the list, I had Op Luke, and what was happening is when he goes off, he's so good. I disengage, and I stapled all the upgrades on him. Force push, he was having massive effects in round 4 and 5. And I'm looking at his points, and he's 235 points in his final form. And the thing is, he doesn't start on the table, so you've got to walk him on. So for him, it's a 4-turn game. And for opponents who are just, kind of understand the threat range, even with burst, they're not going to give anything to you on turn 2. So then it's a 3-turn game. So 235 points for 3 turns of action with him, it just didn't feel worthwhile. And then other little things were tugging me away from Opluke, like all my courage are 1. So if I did take Opluke, I definitely need another commander because I need the courage bubble. So like Commander Luke, just covering a few bases I didn't have. He's not as killy as Opluke, not nearly as killy as Opluke, of course. Especially I don't run him with what's the Pip one? You serve your master well. I don't. I've got Ham's Pip 0 and then Son of Skywalker to make him do a bit of burst damage when he needs to. So yeah, I just didn't. I couldn't justify Opluke's price. And again, the sleeper. I need 13 acts to make that sleeper cell squad work. So yeah, again, my Commander Luke is 140 points. That's great value for what he does. And then I don't think Opluke is worth the other 90 points, 95 points.
Okay. All right. Well, do you think that well, actually, let's see. So the games, when y'all got into your when y'all got into the top 8 and y'all were about to get ready for the games, did your stress levels increase? Did y'all feel like, okay, the pressure's on, it's time to buckle down the hatch, anything like that?
It's the opposite. It's the opposite for me. I went into the weekend with just if I go with a positive record, I have no idea what to expect, right? I'm playing in Houston and a little bit on TTS. And so that list, we talked about this last time, locally, I think I was on a 15 tournament game win streak with that list. Well, maybe that means I'm good and my list is good, or it may mean that I suck less than everybody else I'm playing with, and I'm just a small fish in a really small pond. So I didn't really have any expectations. I just wanted to go positive. So once I had my 3 wins, I was like, that's all right. It just doesn't matter what happens now. So actually, my the pressure went off.
I think for me, it was more like, as some people know, like I've only been playing for like less than a year, so like this was like my first besides Crucible, I guess was like the first GT I've been to. This was like a major event for me. I was like, holy crap! Like I'm actually spending the money, spending the time to fly all the way out here, Las Vegas, and I live in Florida. I'm like so far away, So I was like, holy crap! This is like a lot, And then we played some scrambles, like some pods, like the day before, and I kid you not, I went 0-3. I was like, holy crap, what am I doing here? Do I even have a purpose here? Am I just gonna get completely wiped or whatever, So when I won my first game and I won the second game, won the third game, I'm like, at that point I was like, holy crap, I'm like top 8 of the 64 person tournament. Is has a lot of good people here. And yeah, I definitely felt the pressure. I was like, because I played against a guy for my 4th match, and I wasn't being as I guess lenient as I normally am, because he's like, oh, I forgot to inspire 3 or 4 activations ago before, and I'm like, and then I was doing a few things. I'm like, I don't even know if I should let you have that, because that's really big for this game right now, and this is meaning a lot. This is gonna mean a lot to me at this point, because and it didn't even end up matter, because he ended up rallying everything off, and I was like, okay, that's what I get. But yeah, no, I think I definitely felt the pressure once I got up there.
Okay. And yeah, that was actually another question I was going to wind up asking is, how long have y'all been playing Legion, or even Wargaming? Have y'all been Wargaming before Legion at all either?
I played X-Wing from, so I played 5th edition 40k. Dark time in my life, I tell you what. 40k sucks and blows. I don't know. I just didn't know any better. So I played 5th ed 40k. And then when X-Wing came out, I switched to X-Wing. And then I played X-Wing up until Legion came out. And then I actually was one of the early testers on Legion. So I was playing Legion before it was out. So I've been playing Legion for a long time.
Yeah, I'm like the complete opposite. Like this is my first war game. I started in like March, February of last year, and when all the new changes came to it, I was like, oh, whatever. I've only been playing this game, and I've only been playing with my buddy here, 1v1s, just every other week or so. So I didn't really mind. Everything was changing. I was like, all right, and just learn a new game, I guess. But
The
yeah, no,
reset's actually, to Michael's point, Michael, that reset is really good because the game was, I think, the end of 1.0. We were all feeling a bit of the, you know, what we call it, the sort of, it was getting stale. And
sure.
there was some, maybe we'll talk about this, but I'll bring it up right now. I think New Legion is less strategical than Old Legion.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more fun. In Old Legion, by the end, about maybe a third of my games were just decided by the cards and the table and the lists. And so they were very deterministic. That's not fun. We're playing VAPs and I have the right color, so I'm just going to castle up and then I'll win because you have to come to me. That's not. So I think AMG, I was a bit nervous at first. I think it's totally worth the trade. I'd rather have all my games be fair and fun, and maybe I'm not, maybe it's a little bit more algorithmic. That's okay. I'll take it.
I agree completely. When they changed everything, I felt like I was like, wow, I feel like everything can like the competitive scene can like kind of flourish a bit more just because like you didn't have to take 785 points on a list and like try to get your objectives that you needed, for your list. It was like it just felt incentivized to like play the game and like everyone's on the same playing field. Obviously, like units and point costs and whatever are all going to change, and you're going to have metas and stuff. That's with every game, but I felt like it gave every list, or at least like every kind of objective, like fighting chance for both players.
I think to your point. Oh,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think to your point, Michael, as far as like leveling the playing field, that was a big thing because I know whenever I was watching, like I was getting a lot of anxiety thinking about trying to debut for Legacy Legion, just because of that same reason. Like Daniel was saying, there's early turn zero things that can get decided that at that point the game is more or less set up and you know how it's going to play out. There are instances where that can change, but at Blizzard Force at its peak, that was the skew list that you knew, okay, running up against it, if they're getting bombing run on this, that there's not much that I'm going to be able to do. And that was part of the strategy. That's why they were taking huge bids and losing out on activations, was so they could run what they wanted to run. And if they didn't get that, they were at a little bit more of a disadvantage. So I will say that kind of like you were saying, it opened the door a little bit wider to where more things can fit in and fit through, and you're seeing more plastic on the table with 1,000-point list, which is a huge thing and allows more people to get in that might have been a little bit apprehensive prior to all the changes, which I know that's its own thing right now with people trying to get in and not being able to find the plastic they need. But all in all, kind of like we had said last time, 2.6 is definitely net positive in the books for me.
Yeah, no, I've gotten a question to ask most of the time was, what do you guys think of the new objectives, and what do you guys think of like the way the objectives are picked? Do you kind of like the laying the cards down face down and then flipping them over? Do you guys have a preference? Do you guys kind of like the way it's going, and do you maybe expect new objectives kind of like down the road that are kind of like the old objectives?
I like, for the most part, the new objectives. It's clear the developer intent is they want you to get into a scrum in the table. They don't want you to sort of hurdle-durdle at the edges. You've got to roll up your sleeves and go in. I hope we see more objectives, though. So one of the things I've noticed, Michael, I think we probably agree on this. If you get a points gap of 3 to 4 points on turn 2 and 3, it's very difficult to bounce back from that. I just don't think I've seen it. Maybe there are lists that can do it. I think I was talking to John Bushman, Bushfax. I think he has a list that can do it, but he needs the turns to do it. Coming back from a deficit is so difficult. I hope we see some objectives that firstly open up gunline play a bit, where you can wallop somebody for a couple of turns, then move to the objective. So maybe the scoring kind of is progressive as the game goes on, or something like that, just to bring a bit more of the strategical options for the player. Because right now, you just got to go in. You don't have that choice. You've got to propeller arms and then wind them up and send them. So I hope we see something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about this before. Like the scaling idea of points, increasing over time as the rounds. It just gives like, it gives like maybe a different strategy of like, maybe I could hold back a little bit on turn one, because sometimes when you do that now, it's like if you go down by a few points or something, then you just kind of can't come back because you can only score a static amount of points every round, especially with some objectives that are just like truly like very static, like recover the research, like just have 4 guys, you're just scoring 3 points every time. The secondaries of like surface scan, which like you do have like the contesting of the scanner, which like maybe can happen, but I've only ever seen that one time. Like recon mission, it's just things like that just like are always just giving you like a static amount of points that I don't really give you much of an option to like kind of come back if you ever have like a deficit. But yeah, and we talked about it, like there was like I forget one of the old objectives that like where we talked about you score 2, 4, 6 and you score like an extra point like on the last round or something that like actually like made it worthwhile like playing until like the last round. But yeah, you also have people not playing all 5 rounds just because either they've already been decided or people aren't as quick right now. But at the same time, like the game has dramatically changed and it's only been out for, I guess 7-8 months now. So it's kind of hard. 7 months. Yeah. I don't know, whatever, but people are still learning it. And, we got to give everyone time and, hopefully they come out with new objectives because what do they have? Like a whopping 9 or something last time, or I don't even know how many, with all the other extra things that you could do with the game. Yeah, I would love to see another 3 come out with like a pack or something. Maybe next year or something. It would be really, really cool.
I think what they tried to do in the last edition is make objectives that suited certain types of list to try as a balancing mechanism, but you ended up with bombing run and lists that could take 4 bites or 3 bites with like 13 or 12 act in Old Legion. And I hope they don't go that way again. Balance the game with points and balance, and then let the objectives breathe themselves.
Sure, and that speaks to the new, the new objective selecting, right? When you roll for blue player, red player. I mean, like sometimes I have people like, oh, I'm blue player, oh, I'm red player. Some people are happy or sad. Like, it just depends on your list, right? Because man, sometimes I like blue player, sometimes I like red player. It just depends. But the fact that we both get to like decide what we want from our battle deck to be put out there is like super important, because if you're giving me 3 objectives or 4 objectives like the old Legion, like that I just can't play at all, and like you know how to veto them to the point where like I can almost guarantee that I'm gonna get the bombing run or whatever, then it's like, how do I even play against that? So I do like how they're face down. It gives it more chance and random, I guess, which whatever as far as random chance is concerned, but it also is face down for both people, so we both don't know what it's gonna be.
Like even hostage exchange, you had like Yoda and Vader. Those 2 were always going to be able to do some work with that between Vader's 1 pip and force push, and then guidance, and already be in your deployment zone by like the end of turn 1. So it's very interesting. I do hope we do see the progressive objective play. That'd be awesome. Allowing for gun lines, especially today, the ARF or the ARF troopers just kind of dropped. And you know what? Let's go ahead and get y'all's opinion on the ARF troopers. First live here. I'll air this tomorrow for everybody. So
yeah, I think it's, of course, people are going to dog on it because it's another red saving unit with a very basic gun, and it's another scout unit, of course, because that GAR have just tons of opportunity for scout with scouting parties and ARC troopers. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy that it's not like insanely broken. And like the Jedi, yes, it could have been more. People are like, we should have been like a 4 slot or something, maybe even deflect exhaustible or whatever, right? But I think they took the safe approach with this unit, which honestly I'm not even too mad about with it. So yeah, I mean, low profile, range 4 guns, like it's good, and I like the fact that you can bring the Jedi on ARC troopers. It just gives an ARC trooper like a good heavy option technically to bring, with the Pierce 1, I think there's a place for it. I just hope that it pairs well with some objectives that it can actually play usefully.
What about the? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so no, go ahead. I think I agree.
Thanks.
I was gonna say it's nice that they've got low profile and unhindered, but I don't. It's like now you have a Jedi with all right. So it's a really cool balancing act that it's only 1 health, and it's only 22 points. But the unit gains charge, and you've got 2 red, which is impact 1, pierce 1. Not too bad.
Is it? Yeah, impact 2, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know,
impact
whatever.
2. An extra 2 red, and then you can add an extra 2 minis with the personnel upgrade, which I think is a really cool idea. Now, what do you guys think of the 1 health Jedi though? Because that guy I feel like is going to go down to 1 shot by the sleeper cell at some point.
It is the unit leader, so I guess it technically does have to die last, but
okay,
I don't know. I think it's safe. Like, obviously I think I wish for more. I was even low key wishing for like a counterpart or a detachment, like just a completely car different thing that like you bring ARF trooper, you can bring this unit, or you can attach it to it, but it's, I guess it's underwhelming, but like, I don't know, like, you already have plenty of Jedi to use on Gar. Like, you don't really need another Force user. Like, I think they have the most out of all of the factions, low key.
Anakin, Obi, Yoda,
yeah, exactly. So you have a lot of good
I
options.
think
to use.
Empire technically gets to class them out just because of
Inquisitors.
Inquisitors.
With the Inquisitors, yeah, but who's? I mean,
They cheated.
You're bringing Inquisitors. I don't know if you're going to be at any competitive events, but yeah, no, I think it's a safe approach that they brought with the Jedi.
It's nice to see them not going, really balls to the wall, because some of the most recent releases have been pretty bonkers. Like Sleeper Cell, go hard. The range troopers, go hard. This is a nice tempo adjustment. And I think to Michael's point, like, you might find that, look, that they're pricey once you put them up. Put the Jedi in and you put the extra 2 guys in. That's a pretty big squad, but it's knocking on 130 points, something like that. But maybe it's good. I mean, it's a range 4 dice, and then you can get mixed up when you get close, and they'll be durable. I will let the market of what is good will decide, and we'll see how many we see, and that's how we'll know.
Yeah, I was hoping for prepared positions include. I mean, as much as like prepared positions is not that good of a keyword, I was hoping for some kind of variety, because we're looking at Gar and you're looking at a lot of red saving scouting units that can share tokens, and it feels a lot of the same, and that's probably what you're going to get the most criticism from. But I think it's nice that they're investing in Legion, and we're getting a new special force. Like, we can't, like, Wookiees and ARC troopers, like, okay, and the Kashyyyk, where is it, the noble fighters, like the same exact thing as the ARC troopers. It's a charging unit with a lot of dice, so it's good that it's different, but we'll see how they play out. I think they'll have a spot. They're not super egregiously expensive. 66 points is almost as much as the ARC troopers. It's almost as much. It's a good unit. I think I think it'll be fun for people to bring, and not be punished to bring them just because they're expensive or whatever, and they don't have a spot.
Yeah, I think
won't be punished yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at 114 points to have a Jedi. So 7 minis for 114 points with charge and unhindered.
Yeah.
Low profile. The Observe 2 is nice.
It's a cool mechanic. I think it's actually like it's very neutral, and I'm glad that they have it. It's something.
But that's a full action for them, right? That's a full action for the Observe.
So it's either you spend the aim, right? You go on aim token and you do it on yourself, or you go ahead and throw on observes. And And Tanner and I are actually discussing this earlier today. We were saying, maybe it's kind of incentivizing a vehicle list, bringing vehicles because they can't share that aim of what the ARF troopers will have, so throwing observe tokens out, could really open out the list. I mean, obviously it's a very, very small thing that you have to look at, but it's something,
Well, I
something
think it works very well with
true.
Cody and Cody's command
Yeah.
cards as well, with the spending the observe tokens.
Oh yeah.
It's another way to incentivize, I feel like, Cody here. I do wish that they had prepared positions or, infiltrate or something, because, I mean, they're the advanced recon guys, and they've got a cumbersome heavy that comes with them.
Yeah.
And so you still cannot use their weapon or the heavy weapon on turn one. And the entire faction has that issue, that, all of their RPSs are cumbersome, and none of them. I mean, unless you bring Garrison as an advantage and finally able to put a core specifically on the board, it's tough. So these guys, I like the fact that they're all range 4 with the DC 15 blaster and 1 black. I feel like that's great. They're speed 2, which is great, and it's just the heavy. How is the heavy going to be cumbersome, and then you're giving us Scout 1? Yeah, I mean,
I looked at that and it's like, okay, for his points, so here's what I'm thinking. They're all range 4. By turn 2, if you Scout move, you can probably shoot move. Instead of move shoot, you probably have a range by that point to shoot and then move. But yeah, you're going to borrow aims from somebody else. And then the other thing is, like, looking at that, I know it's got the impact, but it's a rainbow, right? It's one of each. I'm looking at it, and it seems to me the value of adding 2 minis and rolling 2 black, just a bit more multi-purpose. It's more wounds in the squad. If I'm on a budget, I feel that's where I would go. I'll get my impact elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't think it's an auto take. It's definitely something that you have to think about. If you need anti-armor in your list that you don't have any from anywhere else, which is maybe surprising. You don't have impact arcs or clone commandos, but or lightsabers, But I mean, it's still an option. I think the extra 2 men with the cash surge is pretty solid points. It's 26. 13. I think is for the extra man on normal clones. So having an extra range 4 weapon, I guess, is slightly better, and that cash surge allows them to maybe surge to defend once. Or good solid unit.
Yeah, it's nice to have the low profile and 6 guys without a commander guy in there. But
yeah. The extra health for me is really kind of like what Daniel was saying, is where the value lies as far as the duo. RPS is nice, but just like that, with the incentivision of now having a generic Jedi, which kind of plays into some duality of what these guys do. So they're meant to be a long range unit, but then you throw a unit in there that's got to be in melee, and it gives them some versatility, right? It can help out, and I see a lot more people are more so concerned with the generic Jedi right now than the actual ARFs, because of the capacity to run them in an ARC squad instead, and having them at the same value as the clone captain, but getting the.
I will say is that, I mean, when you're looking at the value of it, I mean, the fleet trooper is going to run a Pierce 2 red, or Pierce 1 2 red gun, that has range, for that matter. I don't think it's that awfully expensive. Sure, you're getting impact too, but you literally can't shoot range weapon attack with that thing. You just have to get into melee with it to actually get value from it. So I don't even think it's that bad, as far as, and it uses the commander slot, which is very important for ARC troopers. Like the commander, the captain are really good upgrades for that unit. So it's sometimes, it's a think buy. I don't think it's an auto include on ARC troopers at all. You could definitely say, like, I want to run the captains if I'm running like a very order control based thing, or commanders to the extra surges. I don't think it's that game breaking. That's why I don't mind that it's the safe approach. I don't think it's. Yeah.
Well, no, thanks for the input.
ARF trooper include here in the middle of this.
Yeah. Well,
Breaking news.
any kind of final thoughts on your experience? Y'all, I guess, do y'all plan on going to any other tournaments coming up soon?
I guess. So for me, I have one of the Space Coast Legion people are hosting a tournament in the middle of February. That's just going to be like me probably going back to my roots, playing with Empire and trying to not like bring something super crazy. Also, I guess for next year for LVO, I don't really have to worry about the qualifying part anymore because I already have a qualifying spot. So that's nice. I think as far as GTs are concerned, obviously I'm gonna go to Crucible because I live in Florida and it's a great event. But I was looking at the Richmond Open because I have a friend that lives in Charlottesville and I think it might be a good event for me to kind of just get out there. It's in the middle of May, or beginning of May. So I don't know, just cool event that I can try out a competitive list and see what people are running at past April updates and aquas and crabs have been established. So
Yeah.
I would like to make one of the tournaments. I don't know if I will, work permitting. Let me just do a little plug on behalf of the LVO guys. If you only travel to one tournament, I think LVO's the one. Yeah. LJ and the guys do such a good job. It's so well run. It's a really tight ship. And you're in Vegas. So if you get completely just depantsed day one, if you get stomped, then just, throw in the towel and then, go to the strip. So that's, I block off time for that. The rest of them I'm not quite as flexible on. But, Michael's saying he's switching to Empire. Now I'm done with the Rebels. I want to go now and play Gar. Now nobody's playing them. I want to go back and, I always want to be the cool kid. So I'll play what nobody else is running. I don't know what I'm going to run yet, but yeah, I just want to take out and do something different now.
You'll have to experiment with the ARF troopers next.
I have some builds that are going to be weird. I don't know if they'll work. I don't know if there's room for ARFs in there, but we'll see. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder how they'll do with commandos. You got a lot of range 4 at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. Well, yeah, that's really it. I appreciate the time that you guys are setting aside for this. This is awesome, and I hope everybody gets to meet you guys and see how awesome y'all are. I know that Michael, you're from Florida. Daniel, where are you from?
Texas. I play out of Houston, Texas.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like these are some big places, Texas and Florida. Well, cool, guys. Thanks so much. No, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know what it's like in Florida. In Texas, as you kind of head west, you get this sort of decrease in density. So we've got Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, but they're kind of islands. So I am looking forward to go out and meet people, go to events. You will make friends. It's such a good experience to get out and about. And it's a good time. And especially if you're again, in a bit of a silo, it's worth the trek.
All right. Yeah, maybe I'll have to come to Texas at some point. I know that.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
Please do. I got a bed for you. You'll stay with me. We'll have a good time.
Yeah, all right.
Nice to invite you.
Don't put that. That sounds really bad. That's not what I meant.
Oh man,
a lot of dirty minds in here.
Yeah.
Paul, you should definitely, if you get the opportunity. I know probably the next GT that Daniel's going to be taking a part of is going to be War Dome in April. So April 26th and 27th, one of our local TOs is putting on one of the first GTs to come back to the Houston area. And it's a strictly charity event. So all the proceeds are going to be going back into schools to kind of help promote wargaming and get people out to tournaments, get them to help set things up in school. I know that was a big thing at my small high school back however many years ago. My younger brother was one of the first guys to do like esporting. So Houston's trying to do something similar with tabletop gaming and wargaming. So that's the Wardome tournament in Houston, North Houston area. But yeah, check it out. It ought to be a great time and be cool to get everybody in and try to get some games in.
I'll be there. That's worth the trip alone.
Such good guys who play Legion. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it, and good luck in the next tournaments. And hopefully, we can get some more interviews in soon.
Hey.
Thank you very much, fellas.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Y'all take it easy.
Yep.
See ya.